Alright, today we're going to be building a two-piece knife sheath with soft loops. Comes with everything you need. Comes with some foam, some plastic, your soft loops, the hardware, the eyelets, and the hand setter. First thing we're going to do is we're going to tape up our blade. This is going to allow us to protect our fingers, protect the blade, and it creates a little spacing for the blade to go down into the sheath, because the blade is not the actual locking point, right? It's going to be the end of your grip, the end of that knife handle is where it's going to actually click into your knife sheath. So after we get our tape on, we're simply going to cut it to where it's smooth. You don't want any overage, you don't want to fold it over, you don't want it all bulged up. That will mess up your sheath. And make sure you get it all the way up against your blade, just like so. Then we'll just have one piece of foam on your table. Of course, your table creates the hard spot underneath, and then just take a scrap piece of wood, or like we've got here, MDF, whatever you've got, and that will be the top part of your press. All right, we're going to take our two pieces. You may or may not have a t-shirt press. If you have a t-shirt press, that's great. You can heat these up. If not, buy you a cheap toaster oven. You can stick them in a toaster oven. Basically what you're looking to do is you want them to be floppy. That's my technical term. You just want them to be nice and pliable, is all that you are looking for. Okay, so we're going to put our knife on the foam. Shiny side up on the bottom piece of KYDEX, shiny side down on the top piece. And then we're just going to take our clamps and we are going to clamp down. Get them good and snug. You don't have to break your table or break the wood, but good and snug. And then we're going to let it cool 10-15 minutes, something like that, whatever makes you comfortable. It doesn't matter if you leave it in too long. There's no overcooling it. It would be a problem if it was still too hot when you took it out, though. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to just do a rough marking here as to where we want to cut our KYDEX at. This part is all a matter of preference, how you want to mark it. You do want to make sure and leave enough space. Those inside lines are going to be where we are going to be able to put our eyelets to hold our two pieces together. And we're doing a rough out of where we want up top. Now again, this is all completely up to you. You can make it whatever shape you want. This is just the shape that we prefer for this one. And then what we're doing very carefully, we're going to drill. Now we're using a brad point drill, so it won't jump, okay? It's got a very sharp point at the tip of it. It's made specifically for this kind of job, because obviously, as you can see, we still have our knife in here, and there's a method to our madness. The reason for that is we want to make sure that our KYDEX stays lined up for this part. You don't have to do it this way, but this really is kind of the easiest way to do it, because when the KYDEX heated up, it kind of stuck together pretty well, which you'll see it's pretty easy to get apart, but it is holding itself together pretty well at this point. So the key is make sure that you don't miss your holes and hit your knife blade. If you're not comfortable doing it like this, of course, you can always pull your KYDEX apart, take your knife out of it, put your pieces of KYDEX back together, and then you would just need to clamp them so that when you're drilling your holes and cutting, they stay together so that you don't wind up with the two sides being different. And of course you can use a drill press like we did, or if you don't have one, you can just use a handheld drill. All right, and then we're going to take, here's our handheld drill, by the way. We are just deburring it. We just got a little deburring bit here, and that just cleans up that hole. Makes it neater for you. If you don't have one, you can always use a little sandpaper and just kind of rub it around the hole as best you can, and you'll probably get a pretty good job there too. Now here we're using a razor blade. If you want, you can use a razor blade. You can use a screwdriver just to pop those two pieces loose to get the blade out. As you can see, we only did one side, and the reason for that is that other side's able to hold it together pretty well. Again, had they popped apart, we would just clamp it while we're doing this part. And now we're using this power sander here, sander grinder with a sanding belt on it to do this, to get it down a little bit more when you want it. But you can do this by hand. KYDEX is a pretty soft material, so if you are going to use something with power to do this, as you can see here, it takes off that plastic pretty quick. So you want to be careful. Less is more here. If you put pressure on it, you're going to wind up losing a lot of plastic and may ruin your sheath. Again, you don't even have to use machinery. You could use get you a sanding block and do this by hand. And then there where we're kind of rounding off the edges. Some people like a more angular look and they want to keep the edges sharper. Some want a very rounded look and they would round it even more than we did. Again, this is the beauty of working with KYDEX, is you can make this thing whatever you want it to look like. Now at this point, normally what you do is you go ahead and clean off the inside of that holster. For the purposes of this video, we're kind of figuring you'll know how to do that. You can just wipe it down. Now we're going to take our hand setter, we're going to set our eyelets. Now, as you can see on this particular eyelet, we're rolling, we got that unrolled part of the eyelet up where we're rolling. You can really do that either way. Just depends on how you want the rolled side of your eyelet to look. Whether you're using the anvil side or whether you're using the setter side, it will make the roll look slightly different. What I can tell you is that the roll will never look like the pre-finished roll because that's done by a machine. So generally the preference would be, it depends on which side you're going to carry this knife on, is you want the pre-rolled side to be on the outside of your sheath. So you just have to decide if it's going to be for right hand or left hand carry so that you can decide how you want to roll your eyelets there. And also a tip and trick, if you actually take any of the finish off of your eyelet, because these are dull black coated, if you actually take any finish off when you roll them, it's no big deal. You can actually just hit them with a Sharpie. Of course, brass black works as well, but you can literally just hit it with a Sharpie and it will cover up any imperfections that you might have. Now we're just going to a polishing wheel to give us a final finish. It's not completely necessary, but it really does give it a top-notch look when you do this. So now we're going to put our soft loops on. This you have the option to carry vertically or horizontally. It's totally up to you. So in this case, we're showing you vertically. You just put your two soft loops on there in the vertical orientation. If you want to carry it horizontally, generally what you'll do is you'll wrap, and in this case you might have to make your outside of your sheath a little bit smaller, but you can wrap around and snap your soft loops on. Not sure if I can make that make sense without you actually seeing it. That's it. Good job, folks. Thanks for watching.